Sam, it wasn't always pretty, and there were stages where it got a bit nervy, but Australia's through to the last 32.
They're through. Yay. I'm so proud of these Socceroos. The second World Cup in a row that they have got out of the group and into the knockout rounds. Yes, it wasn't necessarily a great game of football. It wasn't the kind of goal scoring festival that maybe the thousands of Aussies who turned out to watch this game on a Friday at midday were hoping for, but they had one job to do, right? Which was, at the very least, get a draw against Paraguay. A win, sure, would have been beautiful, cherry on top, but a draw was what they needed to finish in second spot in Group D. So they did it, and they did it in a way I think that gives us a lot of confidence about what this next round can look like. I saw some really terrific performances out there on the field. I think Tony Popovic made some really great calls in terms of his starting lineup. We'll talk about that obviously in a minute. But Jack, I'm really keen to hear from you. What was the vibe in the stadium? A 0-0 draw isn't always something to celebrate, but I think in this circumstance, it kind of is.
It's a World Cup group stage match. This doesn't happen very often, right? And we got the result we needed. Well, if we are, Australia's football community, this was a historic moment because it is this second knockout achievement in a row. We spoke to Milos Degenek just then in the mix zone, and he was talking about how, for a long time, football has maybe been unable to prove itself as an Australian sporting property compared to the likes of cricket and the other football sports. And so these achievements are really important to illustrate just how good we are at football. And this wasn't the most exciting match. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Because Australia were composed in this contest, right? They really only had that one scare towards the end. They were in control of the match. They knew they just needed that point to secure second place. And that's what they delivered to record this historic achievement. So I think they're all feeling pretty happy down there. And I think a lot of Australian football fans right across the world are of a similar mind right now.
Jack, Australia made a pretty fast start despite only needing a draw to progress. Jackson Irvine got that first shot off on target. Did you get the sense that there was a stage where their mindset shifted and that the draw suddenly seemed like it might be a better option rather than chasing the game and taking extra risks?
They did look really good in that first half, particularly down that right flank, the unusual right flank with Jordy switching sides and having Christian Volpato there as well. Both left-footed players playing on the right. So in theory, maybe it shouldn't have worked as well as it did, but they looked super dangerous for most of that first half. Put a lot of pressure on the Paraguayans. A few half chances, nothing gilt-edged, so to speak. But after half-time, there were a couple of scares, right? Jackson Irvine got that yellow card really soon after half-time. And then Paraguay started to have a pretty good period of pressure. And that was when you started to realize, oh, yeah, wow, okay, if they do concede here, they really will be on the brink of elimination. But they composed themselves, right? They got control of the match back. And apart from that chance right at the end, I think they did it pretty comfortably in the end.
And we're getting used to Tony Popovic keeping us on our toes with his selections. This time he made 6 changes, included bringing in a bit of a dream team up front with Nestria and Kunda coming back into the side, Christian Volpato earning his first start with the Socceroos in such a big game. Connor Metcalf recalled as well in place of Mo Toure. So what did you make of that front three?
This felt close to what I think is like the utopian ideal of the Socceroos starting 11 for me. Like, I was so impressed with Christian Volpato. I think he was one of the players of the match for me. He was so creative. He was really brave on the ball. As Jack mentioned, him combining with Jordi down that right wing, I think was really fruitful. So much of the best opportunities came from that side of the penalty area. And obviously he's got a really terrific left foot as well. So he was able to send some crosses into the box. It was really promising. It was really exciting. And Jordi finally being given that space to run into, like we've been waiting for this for 2 games now. He was so conservative against Turkey and being pummeled by the USA. But finally he was opening up this huge channel to absolutely sprint into Ellie Carpenter-esque, I would suggest, and was maybe the player of the match. He was not giving up for 90 plus minutes. He was really exciting. He was really vibrant, really relentless, I think, as well, which is what so many people love about Jordi Boss's style. So I loved seeing that combo. I was a little bit unconvinced, though, about starting Irankunda at centre forward. I always think Irankunda's best qualities are when he has the pace to get in behind a defence and playing facing the goal. I would prefer, I think, a Mo Toure or even a Tete Yengi, who came on at the end, being that big target player in the middle, standing with their back to goal, receiving the ball, turning and sending through an Irankunda, who I'm pretty sure is the fastest player in the tournament. I think he's clocked the fastest sprint of any player so far in the group stage. He would be terrifying if he got in behind any centre-backs, right? That would be my approach, probably, against whoever we end up playing in the round of 32. But I think we're very, very close to getting whatever is that combination right. And to Jack's earlier point about Jackson Irvine, I think he was sensational in midfield. I think that Socceroos really missed him starting in those first two games. He covered so much ground. He was so composed. He showed such leadership, and every pass that he made tended to be the right one. So I really loved the combination of him and Aidan O'Neill in that midfield. I think it really shored up that central area of the park, and Paraguay really struggled to get numbers in those middle channels because of how much ground they were covering. So yeah, I think Popovic got it almost exactly right, but a couple of tweaks still needed for the next game.
We are not finished talking about Jordy Boss, folks. I just have to heap more praise on this guy, right? He had 2 training sessions playing on the right side after Jacob Italiano's injury. So he's in a position that, at least within this environment, he's fresh to. With a player in Christian Volpato that he would have absolutely no experience playing with, particularly on that side. And he's come out and he is just this was the performance that at the start of the tournament we thought we all thought he had it in him. And he obviously that first half against the US when Weston McKennie just came down that right flank a lot. And even Paul Ocon during the week, the assistant coach for the Socceroos, he recognised, he acknowledged that took a lot out of Jordy Boss in that US game. But today, this was the opportunity for him, right? A different style of game, maybe a few more little transition moments where we can really see his athleticism, attacking the ball and going past players. It freed him up to express himself as a player we all hope he can become. And already, we were talking to Milos Degenek after the game. He says he reckons he's already in the top 5 of left backs in the world. So obviously there's a little bit of mayo on that. But we also asked him, where does he rank on right backs? And Milos was like, top 10. So maybe he's exaggerating a little bit, but we even got to talk to Jordy Boss afterwards. He was grinning from ear to ear. He's got such a huge smile, and clearly loves what he's doing, loves playing football. And we asked him about the comparisons. Aiden Rustic said he's been calling him Dani Alves, the Brazilian right back this week, because he's been located on that side. But Jordy Boss himself we asked him who would prefer to be compared with, and Jordy was like, I actually don't mind the Gareth Bale comparisons. So that's licensed, right? We can just use the Gareth Bale comparison from here on in. And today was a performance that maybe held it up.
We've covered off so many of the players that Tony Popovic brought in after criticising some of his selections last week. One more was Lucas Herrington, coming in as such a young centre-back, such a pivotal role, and he stepped up to the occasion.
Just sensational, isn't he? Like, you could not tell at all that he's just 18 years old and this is his first ever major tournament for his country. He was so calm. He was so composed. He was not panicked at all, really. There was maybe one tiny moment where there was a poor back pass or something like that where he got a bit frazzled. But recovered from that with the maturity of someone twice his age. He was really, really terrific, starting in that back 3 alongside Harry Suter and Alessandro Cercati. He was so balanced and so sort of smooth in the way that he moved his body. And for someone who is so gargantuanly tall, it's really hard to look as sort of balletic as what he does. He was able to make the right decisions almost all the time. He was physical when he needed to be, but it wasn't always. And he needed to be tall when he needed to be, but it wasn't always, because he's got such beautiful technique as well and such control of the ball in tight circles that, yeah, he was rarely under pressure. It was really amazing. I'm just like astonished that we've managed to like bring someone in of his age who is already so good. And what a fantastic example of the kinds of local Australian products who have been coming through the A-League men. You know, like he was at Brisbane Roar before making this move over to the MLS, until very recently. These are the kinds of players that Australia is producing, and this Socceroos team is such a wonderful example of the pipelines that are actually available to us here. So yeah, I was really so impressed with him. I hope that he starts the next game. I think he's done enough to show that he fits in really beautifully alongside some more experienced centre backs. Yeah, I just thought it was amazing. And I also wish that I could like be half as calm in anything that I do as he was, like trying to ward off 2 or 3 Paraguayan wingers. Like, what a terrifying thing to be faced with, and yet did it with such aplomb. Incredible.
Whether it's a gritty draw, hard-earned, whatever you want to describe it, Australia has gone through to the knockouts as runners-up in what was always seen as one of the trickier groups at this World Cup. What does it mean? What's the vibe, I guess, in the dressing room at that sort of achievement? Not just crawling in third place or having that nervous wait over the next 48 hours, but strolling in now and not having narrowed down to who they might be playing next.
Let me set you the scene down here in the mix zone under the stadium after the game. Obviously, the players, hugely pleased with the result, celebrating. You saw Tony Popovic so exuberant at the final whistle. They know this was a significant achievement. They weren't here to entertain tonight. They were here to get the result. But in the mix zone, you got a sense about how the team feels when Milos Degenek is pulling the speaker, green and gold. It's one of those portable speakers, tunes pumping through the media environment. All the players are back slapping. They are having a great time, right? I'm very happy there is 8 days until their last 32 match, because I think they can afford themselves a day or two off, as Aiden Rustic said he was looking forward to. So look, this is the exciting thing now for the Socceroos. It's almost like a reset, right? They've got this very large gap between now and that last 32 match in Dallas, which is, in a week's time. This is 32 teams left in the World Cup, right? This is an elimination now, a knockout. It allows them to prepare again. They will find out shortly who their opponent will be, and they're going to have an extra day compared to that opponent to prepare. So they should be physically right. But mentally, this is just a great chance. They've got through this first hurdle, and now there are 32 teams left in this tournament. And given the knockout situation or the knockout format, who's going to write off any one of these teams making a deep run? We saw tonight the Socceroos. They can maybe have play a different game style when it's required. We've seen how effective they were with a low and medium block against Turkey. If they can combine those performances in one round and then maybe a second round, get lucky with a penalty shootout, all of a sudden we could be looking at round of 16, quarterfinals and beyond. Look, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but maybe it's just a Milos Degenek speaker that's having some impact on me. But I'm hugely optimistic about this slot. And 8 days in Dallas. Let's do it again.
Can I just say that, it sounds like Milos Degenek is now, the Socceroos' new hype man. I remember back in 2022 in Qatar, it was Martin Boyle who had just torn his ACL, but was still involved in the camp, right? And he was given the official title of hype guy or something. And he was just there for the good vibes. And it sounds like Milos Degenek is probably that guy. I want him following me around with a speaker and telling me that I am in the top 5 in the world of anything that I do. What a guy. As if you can't have belief in everything that is possible for you to achieve in your life when you've got a man like that, behind you, hyping you up. Amazing. What a guy.
This is the third time that the Socceroos have reached the knockouts, but they're still one step short of the round of 16 that they've reached 4 years ago, and also back in 2006. So with the runner-up from the group that includes Belgium, Egypt, Iran or New Zealand to come. We're not sure. We'll find out about that in about 24 hours' time from the recording. What do you sort of expect from the Socceroos, and are there any of those matchups better placed for what comes next?
Well, yeah, New Zealand is the best matchup because they're, maybe not the strongest team in the group. Sorry, New Zealand viewers. But, they're long shots to get through in second place. More likely it's going to be Belgium. Certainly Egypt, they're top of the group now. So there would need to be a flip over in that Iran game. The Iran game for me, or potential Iran game, that would really, like the Socceroos were with the US. They were, right in the middle of this World Cup narrative when they were playing the US. And unfortunately, they didn't make the most of that. Iran have obviously received so much interest and the treatment they've received in terms of coming in and out of the US for each game has been the subject of so much discussion. If it is Iran, that match would take on much greater significance because, that Iran fairy tale would be a huge continuation. And all of a sudden Australia, is maybe not the underdog story that we all think Australia is. So look, I think Belgium would probably be the preference for Australia, so Belgium or Egypt, if we can't get New Zealand.
Anything to add on that, Sam? I guess facing Iran again might be an opportunity for some vengeance about 3 decades after what happened at the MCG. Still has a place in the broken heart for those of us that were there.
Indeed. I don't know how many of the current Socceroos were alive when that game happened. I think that historic sort of Iran game in the MCG has probably been passed down through like the wise old heads of the coaching staff who were there, Tony Popovich, etc. I think there would be a really narrative-filled game if we were to face Iran in the next stage. I don't particularly want to though, because they are a really good team, and I think the various pressures and stresses that have been sort of revolving around them in the lead up to this World Cup has potentially given the players quite a lot of motivation to do as much as they can and to go as far as they can. To do something really good for their country, their community, their people. It would be a really tricky, difficult game, I think. Iran have been pretty impressive over the course of the group stage. Their goalkeeper in particular has been sensational, especially in that last game against Belgium. I think the Socceroos would have a real challenge in that. I almost prefer Belgium, weirdly enough, like world number 10, and yet they haven't really got out of 4th or 5th gear so far in the World Cup. So, who knows? And this is the thing, I guess, that's so exciting about the expanded 48-team format is that, like, you have groups like ours and the New Zealand group where it was pretty even. You saw a lot of very close results. There were so many draws over in Group G. Any team can beat any other team on their day, which is exactly what you want, right? Like, that is the excitement and the drama that brings so much of the joy in a tournament like this one. So I almost don't mind who we play. I've seen us play Iran a bunch, and I'm a little bit scared of them, so I don't really want that for us. But would love to see Belgium. Would love to potentially see Egypt. I don't think it's mathematically possible at this point anyway. But if the Socceroos play to their strengths, if they tweak some of the things that we've talked about today, and all of the players really give everything, who says that we can't win?